Hello, I'm Simon Whistler. You're watching the Today I Found Out YouTube channel, and in the video today we're looking at the curious practice of execution by golden shower. Humans have invented a variety of amazingly cruel and unusual ways to kill or maim one another, often for shockingly arbitrary reasons. And of course, wars sometimes bring out the worst in people, so it's not surprising that wartime executions can occasionally be among the most bizarre and cruel. On that note, if you read the first volume of John Masters' autobiography, you will come across one of the most bizarre execution methods ever: drowning a person in urine. The method of execution was used by the Pathans, also known as ethnic Afghans and Pashtuns. The women of this group, particularly in the Afridi tribe of the Pashtuns, who today primarily reside in present-day Pakistan and Afghanistan, would occasionally execute people this way, as mentioned by the British John Masters, who was stationed in British India when he was 18 in 1933. If they, Pathans, captured any soldier other than Muslims, and especially if the soldiers were Sikhs or British, they would usually castrate and behead them. Both these operations were frequently done by the women. Sometimes they would torture prisoners with the death of 1,000 cuts, pushing grass and thorns into each wound as it was made. Sometimes they would peg a prisoner out and with a stick force his jaw so wide open that he could not swallow, and then the women would urinate in his open mouth, taking turns till he drowned. This kind of cruelty was not confined to war. If a man suspected his wife of infidelity, he would cut her nose off. The Pathans punished an adulterer by forcing a thick and knobbly thorn twig down his penis. They rewarded infringements of lesser laws by tearing a man's tongue out by the roots. Bizarrely, given their stance on women and adultery, there are also a few reports of these death by golden shower executions being preceded by the women first gang raping the condemned man before drowning them in their urine. Now, lest you go away thinking we're suggesting it was the Pashtuns who instituted various cruel punishments in this conflict, all evidence is to the contrary. During these various skirmishes that Masters was involved in, he describes an absurd amount of cruelty on both sides of the fight. For instance, in one case, a tribesman who had both his legs broken was captured. Contrary to an order given by the commanding officer of this battalion that they should take no prisoners, his soldiers brought the injured man in. The officer was furious and then, according to Masters, ordered the prisoner to be pegged out, face up, in front of the quarter guard. There was no shade and the sun temperature was probably about 130. The further order was that every man who passed should kick the prisoner in the testicles. The prisoner died later that evening. So while I won't ask if you found that video enjoyable, I do hope you found it interesting. If you did, please do hit that thumbs up button below, and don't forget to subscribe for brand new videos just like this every day of the week. I'd also like to thank our patrons on Patreon. They make these videos possible. If you would like to help us out by making a small and totally voluntary financial contribution, you can head over to patreon.com/TodayIFoundOut to see what we've got going on there. It's not a one-way street as well. We've got loads of cool perks, which it would be great if you checked out. T-shirts, hoodies, all sorts of things. So please do head over to patreon.com/TodayIFoundOut if you're interested in helping us out. And as always, thank you for watching.